The Galactic Empire had given humanity one last chance to surrender. They said it was a gift, peace, safety, protection, under their rule. But everyone knew what it really meant. End of freedom, end of choice, end of Earth as it was. For 20 years humans had fought back, not with big ships or powerful weapons at first, just with grit and fire. They had lost battles, cities, even whole colonies. But they never stopped fighting. They refused to kneel. Now, the Empire sent a huge ship to orbit Earth. It was bigger than any city, dark and cold like space itself. Aboard that ship, human leaders were invited to sign the final treaty. The world watched from below, waiting for the end of war, or the end of humanity. Inside the alien flagship, the air was too clean, lights were too bright, voices echoed too much. The Empire's leaders looked down on the humans, tall and calm, like gods. They offered peace again. They smiled like predators who already saw their prey trapped. The human delegation stood together. Among them was a man named Jason Klein, once a Navy pilot, now an advisor on military matters. He wasn't supposed to speak, but when the Empire asked for the reply, he stepped forward. He didn't say no, he didn't say yes. He pulled out a small box wrapped in cloth, meant to look like a gift of peace. Then he placed it on the table between them. The Empire's leaders looked confused. One reached for it. The box exploded. Not a big explosion. Not enough to destroy the ship, but enough to kill the ones closest, enough to send shock through the room. Silence followed. Then screams. Jason and the others turned and ran. The Empire's guards chased them, but they had planned for this. Smoke filled the halls. Alarms screamed. Emergency doors slammed shut. But the humans had help from inside. Spies, traitors, or maybe just those who believed in fight. They made it to the escape pod. It launched before anyone could stop it. Behind them, the flagship burned in places. Not destroyed, but wounded. Insulted, as they fell back to Earth, Jason looked out the window. The ship glowed red where the bomb hit. He whispered, "We do not kneel." Back on Earth, the message spread fast. The Empire had been struck, not in battle, but in pride. The humans had said no, not with words, but with fire. War began again, this time worse. Within days, the Empire responded. Massive ships moved into orbit. Weapons dropped from sky. Big machines that dug into land, burning everything in path. Cities fell silent. Governments collapsed. People fled underground. But not all hope was gone. In the ruins of Washington, a woman named Laura Bennett walked through broken halls. Once she studied languages. Now she led what was left of the resistance. She read reports, listened to survivors, and searched for anything that could turn the tide. She found something. A weakness. The Empire thought they were perfect. But they weren't. Their command system relied on one central AI, a mind that controlled every fleet, every order, every move. If that mind could be broken, the Empire would fall apart. Laura wrote it down, passed it to trusted hands, sent word to Jason. We can win. We just need to strike deep. On Mars, a smuggler named Danny Reyes heard the message. He laughed, shook his head, then started planning. On the Moon, a Marine named Marisol Cruz picked up her rifle. She had survived New California's fall. She wouldn't let it happen again. In hidden bases across the solar system, people gathered. Pilots, engineers, fighters, hackers. All of them had one thing in mind. The Empire refused to retreat. So humanity would strike back, harder than ever before. The Empire hit hard. Within days of the bombing aboard their flagship, they unleashed hell on Earth. Massive orbital weapons dropped like stars, smashing cities into dust. Biodrills, alien machines that dug through land and poisoned water, spread across continents. Millions died in the first week. Governments tried to hold, but they broke under the pressure. Leaders vanished or were killed. What was left of the world's armies scattered, but not all hope was gone. In the ruins of Washington, Laura Bennett moved fast. She had no army, No ships, no power. But she had a plan. She gathered those who still believed. Soldiers without commands, hackers without homes, scientists hiding in basements. They called themselves the Resistance. They didn't have much. Just old radios, broken computers, and stolen tech. But they had something else. Knowledge. Laura had studied alien language for years before the war. Now she used that knowledge to decode intercepted messages. She found patterns, weaknesses. Most importantly, she found one truth. The Empire did not think humans could win. They saw them as stubborn animals. Dangerous, yes, but not smart enough to strike at the heart. Laura knew better. She sent word to Jason Klein. He was on Mars by then, hiding with a group of ex-colony fighters. They had no fleet, no bases, and no support. But they had fire in their eyes. Back on Earth, the Resistance worked in secret. They built tunnels beneath cities, set up hidden camps in forests and deserts. They trained new fighters, repaired old weapons, and stole what they could from fallen military bases. One night, a team led by a young Marine named Marisol Cruz raided an alien drop site. The Empire had landed a damaged carrier near the remains of New California. The ship was broken but not empty. Marisol and her team slipped inside. They found alien tech, weapons, armor, even working drones. They took what they could carry and disappeared before the Empire knew what hit them. The mission was a success, but it came with a cost. The Empire sent hunters after them. Fast ships, silent soldiers. They tracked the raiders across the west coast. One by one, the team was picked off. Marisol barely escaped. Wounded and alone, she reached a hidden base deep in the mountains. There she found Laura waiting. "You made it," Laura said. Marisol nodded. "Just barely." They looked at each other. Both knew the Empire would never stop hunting them now. But they also knew something else. This was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, more messages went out. The Resistance wasn't just in America anymore. People rose up in Africa, Europe, Asia. They didn't have the same language, but they had the same fight. And far away, on Mars, Jason Klein read the message Laura had sent. It was short. "We found a way in. We can hurt them where it counts." He looked out across the red sands. Behind him, the remains of human space forces gathered. Old ships, tired pilots, broken men and women who refused to give up. He smiled. Then he stood up, walked to the command center, and started planning. The Empire thought they had won. They thought humanity was broken. They were wrong. Deep in space, a smuggler named Danny, Reyes listened to the growing storm. He tapped his fingers on a dusty console. "Looks like the bugs are fighting back," he muttered. Then he grabbed his coat and stepped outside. Time to join the war. Jason Klein stood on the edge of a cliff on Mars, looking out over the red dust and broken ships. The wind howled, but he didn't move. He was thinking about Earth, what was left of it. Smoke, ruin, fear. He had seen too much death. But now, there was hope. The message from Laura Bennett still burned in his mind. "We found a way in." Now they just had to make it work. Behind him, the hidden base buzzed with life. People moved fast, talking in low voices. Some were soldiers, some were scientists. Others were just people who refused to give up. Laura arrived with Marisol Cruz by her side. They walked up to Jason and handed him a small data chip. "This," Laura said, "is what we stole from that alien carrier." Jason plugged it into his tablet. Lines of strange symbols filled the screen. "Looks like gibberish," Marisol said. "It's not," Laura replied. "It's code. Empire code. We cracked some of it already." Jason looked at her. "What does it say?" Laura smiled. "The Empire isn't as perfect as they think. They rely on one big system to control everything. Ships, weapons, commands. It's called the Nexus." "So if we hit the Nexus?" Jason asked. "Then the whole Empire stumbles," she said. Jason nodded slowly. "Where is it?" Laura pointed to the screen. Deep inside their core systems, right in the heart of their capital world. Perfect, Jason muttered. They all knew what that meant. No one had ever made it that far. The capital was guarded better than any place in the galaxy, but they had no choice. That night, they held a meeting. Fighters, pilots, engineers. All of them tired, all of them scared, but all of them ready. Then a voice came from the back. You'll need someone who can get inside the system. Everyone turned. A young man stepped forward. Tall, thin, with messy hair and tired eyes. Danny Reyes, he said, used to be a smuggler, hacker on the side. You think you can crack the Nexus? Jason asked. Danny shrugged. I've done worse. Laura studied him. You'd have to do it from close range. The system is protected by layers. Layers. Even from space, it's locked down. Danny grinned. I like puzzles. They gave him what little they had. He started working right away. Days passed. Danny barely slept. He sat in front of screens, typing faster than anyone could follow. He cursed. He laughed. He groaned. Then one night he stood up. I got in, he said. Everyone stopped. You're kidding, Marisol said. Danny shook his head. Not deep, just a toe in the water. But it's real. We can do this. Jason looked around. Everyone was watching him now. He took a breath. Then we go to war. Preparations began. They patched together a ship from stolen parts and old Navy scraps. They called it the Concordia. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't fast, but it could fly. Danny stayed on board, working nonstop. Jason took the pilot seat. Laura handled strategy. Marisol brought guns. They weren't a fleet. They were barely a crew. But they were going to strike the hardest blow humanity had ever thrown. As they lifted off, Mars fell behind them. Earth was gone. The stars ahead were full of danger, but also, for the first time in years, something else. Hope. Behind them, the resistance grew stronger every day. People rose up. Bases formed. New fighters joined. Humanity was waking up. And soon, the Empire would feel its wrath. The Concordia moved through space like a ghost. Quiet, hidden, fast. Behind it, Mars was gone. Ahead, the core systems of the Galactic Empire loomed like a wall of fire and steel. Inside the ship, the crew worked without rest. Jason Klein sat at the pilot's seat, eyes scanning the stars for danger. Laura Bennett checked maps and enemy routes on a small screen. Danny Reyes typed non-stop, fingers flying over keys as he tried to stay one step ahead of the Empire's digital defenses. Marisol, Cruz cleaned her rifle. She didn't talk much, but she listened. And she was ready. They had left behind the last safe human space weeks ago. Now they were deep in enemy territory. One wrong move and they wouldn't make it back. Their mission: plant a virus inside the Nexus, the central AI that controlled the Empire's entire war machine. If they succeeded, the Empire would fall into chaos. If they failed, humanity would never get another chance. We're close, Jason said, breaking the silence. Laura looked up. How close? 2 jumps away, he replied. After that, we go dark. Danny groaned. Going dark means no more firewall tricks. I won't be able to hide us anymore. Then we'll have to be fast, Marisol said. The ship made its final jump. Space twisted. Stars blurred. Then, silence. They were here. A massive alien world floated below them. The capital of the Empire. A planet covered in towers, lights, and ships. No one had ever landed there and lived. But they weren't landing. Not yet. First, they needed help. On board, Danny opened a secure channel. He sent out a coded signal, a message only a few people in the galaxy could receive, and even fewer would answer. He waited. Then, after what felt like forever, a voice came through. You finally showed up, huh? Danny smiled. Hey, Eli. Long time no see. Eli Porter had once been an engineer for a human colony near the edge of known space. When the Empire attacked, he was captured, taken to this very planet. Somehow he survived. Somehow he stayed free. And somehow, he started working against them from the inside. Now, he was their only hope of getting close enough to the Nexus without being torn apart. "I can get you in," Eli said, "but not through the front door. Too many eyes." "Tell us where," Jason said. "There's a maintenance zone near the old data spire. It's used for repairs, low security. If you land there, I can meet you." "And if we get caught?" Marisol asked. "Then say hi to hell for me," Eli replied. They landed under cover of night. The Concordia touched down in a hidden valley far from watchful eyes. The team stepped off, weapons ready. Danny carried his gear. Laura held a small case with the virus inside. Marisol led the way. They moved fast through the dark. Not long after, a figure stepped from the shadows. "About time," Eli said. He was older than Danny remembered. Thinner, tired, but his eyes were sharp. "You brought what we need?" Eli asked. Danny nodded. "Right here." "Good," Eli said. "Then let's break the Empire." They followed him through winding tunnels and broken streets, past silent guards and sleeping machines. Finally, they reached the spire. It was tall, cold, filled with humming energy. Inside, Eli led them to a terminal. "This line connects straight to the Nexus," he said. "But we don't have long." "The system checks every hour. Can you hold them off?" Laura asked. "I'll do my best," he said. Danny sat down, plugged in, began typing. Behind them, alarms whispered in the distance. Time was running out. "Come on," Marisol whispered. "Hurry up." Danny didn't reply. His hands flew across the keyboard. Then he smiled. "Virus is in." Just then, lights flared. Footsteps echoed. Marisol said. "We've got company." "Run," Jason said. They turned and fled, leaving the heart of the Empire burning behind them. The Concordia shot through the sky like a bullet, engines screaming. Behind it, the capital world lit up in chaos. Alarms blared, ships launched. The Empire knew something had happened, and they were furious. Inside the ship, Danny Reyes leaned, back in his seat, breathing hard. "It's done," he said. "The virus is inside the Nexus." Jason Klein didn't look away from the controls. "How long before it spreads?" "Minutes," Danny said. "Maybe less. But we need to be far away when it hits." Laura Bennett checked the map. "We still have to get past their outer defenses." "Then hold on," Jason said. "This is going to be rough." Outside the cockpit window, enemy fighters closed in fast. Red lights blinked across the radar. Missiles locked on target. "Today," Marisol Cruz muttered, gripping her gun. She fired the ship's side cannon. A flash, an explosion. One fighter fell, but more took its place. "Eli," Laura shouted. Eli Porter was still on board, helping them escape. He ran to the back, checking systems, rerouting power. "I'm trying," he yelled. "But this thing wasn't built to run this fast." Jason pulled the ship into a steep dive. They dropped toward a thick cloud cover, dodging fire. "If we hit the ground, none of this matters," Marisol said. "Trust me," Jason replied. They plunged into the clouds. For a few seconds, everything went white. Rain pounded the hull. Lightning flashed. Then, clear sky. Behind them, the fighters struggled to follow. Some crashed. Others lost sight. "Nice move," Laura said. "Luck," Jason said. "We're not out yet." Back at the spire, the virus worked fast. Data lines flickered. Terminals froze. Orders stopped flowing. Ships in orbit drifted without commands. Ground units stood still. Some guards panicked. Others just stared at their screens, confused. The Empire's perfect system was breaking, and then silence. Not real silence, just the kind that comes after the world changes. On the bridge of a massive warship, an alien commander looked at his frozen screen. "What is happening?" he asked. No one answered, because no one knew. Back on the Concordia, Danny watched the data stream. "It's spreading," he said. "Fast. Good. Laura said. Now we need to make sure the fleet knows. She opened a channel. To all human forces, she said. The Nexus is down. Repeat, the Nexus is down. This is our chance. Far away, near Earth, the last of humanity's fleet waited. They had been ordered to stay hidden until the signal came. Now the signal arrived. Commander Ray Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the sky. Send the order, he said. All ships full attack. Dozens of human ships rose from hiding. Old cruisers, broken carriers. Fighters patched together from scrap. They flew forward as one. Enemy ships tried to respond, but too late. Without orders from the Nexus, they moved slow, reacted wrong, missed targets. Humanity struck hard. Battles raged across space. Explosions lit up the dark. Ships fell. Lives were lost. But for the first time in 20 years, humans were winning. Back on the Concordia, the team watched from afar. They're doing it, Laura whispered. Yeah, Jason said, but we're not done. In front of them, a huge alien dreadnought appeared. Its weapons powered up. Marisol said. We've got a problem. The ship fired. A beam of light cut through space. Brace for impact, Jason shouted. The Concordia shook. Alarm screamed. Smoke filled the cabin. We're losing power, Eli yelled. Then we fight, Marisol said, grabbing her rifle. We always do. Danny looked at his screen. The virus is still spreading, he said, but we might not live to see it finish. Jason looked at his crew, tired, hurt, scared, but still ready. He smiled. Then let's make sure it finishes right. He pushed the throttle forward, straight into the storm. The galaxy changed in a single moment. Across space, the Galactic Empire's ships froze mid-battle. Orders stopped, weapons powered down. Fighters drifted without direction. The Nexus was gone. No one told them what to do. And for the first time, in centuries, the Empire didn't know how to fight. On Earth, the war still raged on the ground. Biodrills continued to dig. Alien troops still fought. But without command, they were blind. Human forces pushed back. In Africa, rebels took over an enemy base with nothing but stolen guns and fire in their hearts. In Europe, ex-military pilots flew old jets into alien towers, crashing into control centers that once ruled the sky. In Asia, resistance fighters freed thousands from slave camps, tearing down the chains that had held them for years. The tide had turned, and humanity wasn't done yet. On board the USS Liberty, Commander Ray Carter watched the battle unfold. Sir, a young officer said, we're picking up signals from every sector. The Empire's fleet is breaking apart. Carter nodded. Good. Now we finish this. He opened a channel across all human frequencies. This is Commander Carter, he said. The Empire is falling. I want every ship, every fighter, every soldier. We push forward, take back what they stole, free every world they ruined, and show them who we are. Across space, humans answered. From Mars to Europa, from Luna to Titan, every surviving human force moved as one. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for revenge. Back on the Concordia, the crew was battered. Jason Klein leaned against the pilot seat, blood on his arm. Laura Bennett patched her own wounds with shaking hands. Danny Reyes stared at his broken screen, muttering about lost data. Marisol Cruz stood by the window, watching stars blur past. We made it, she said. Barely, Jason replied. Eli Porter walked in, limping. We should be dead. Yeah, Laura said. But we're not. Danny looked up. You know what this means, right? Laura nodded. The Empire isn't finished, just broken. Some will run, Jason said. Others will try to rebuild. Either way, we can't stop now. A message came through on a weak signal. It was from Earth. Commander Carter reports. Major victories, the voice said. Enemy forces retreating. We're taking back cities, sending aid where we can. Humanity is winning. The crew sat in silence. Then Danny laughed. We did it, he said. We actually did it. Laura smiled. No, they did it. All of them. Outside, the stars shone brighter than before. Across the galaxy, people rose up. In New California, survivors rebuilt homes from ruins. In Washington, the resistance set up a new council. On Mars, children played under open skies, no longer hiding underground. For 20 years, the Empire called them weak, primitive, worthless. Now, the humans showed them what real strength looked like. Not because they had the best weapons or fastest ships, but because they never gave up, because they fought until the end, and because when the galaxy tried to break them, they broke back harder. Jason looked at his crew. "What now?" he asked. Laura stood up straight. "Now we build." "Build what?" Marisol asked. Laura looked out the window. A future. The Concordia flew on, leaving war behind and carrying hope forward. The war was over. Not all fights had ended, but the Empire was broken. Its ships scattered. Its leaders lost. Its power gone. Humanity had won. But victory came with scars. Earth was not the same. Cities were ruins. Millions were gone. The land bore the wounds of war. But people were alive, and they were building again. In Washington, a new council formed. Not ruled by one leader, but by many voices. Laura Bennett stood at its heart, not as a ruler, but as a voice for all humans. She spoke to the world. For 20 years we fought. We were called weak. We were told to kneel, but we did not. And now, we are free. Across the solar system, life returned. On Mars, colonies grew stronger. On Luna, new schools opened. On Europa, scientists worked to heal what was broken. Jason Klein stayed away from politics. He didn't want titles or medals. He helped where he could, flying rescue missions, training new pilots, making sure others got the chance to live in peace. Marisol Cruz went back to New California. She walked through the remains of her old home, then helped build a new one. She trained young fighters not to start wars, but to protect what they had earned. Danny Reyes disappeared. Some said he left the solar system. Others believed he stayed hidden, watching over the networks, keeping the peace safe from the shadows. No one heard from him for months. Then one day, a message appeared on every human terminal across space. It read, "They thought we were nothing. We showed them who we are. This is our place now. Protect it, build it, make it ours." Signed, DRR. Eli Porter stayed with the rebuilding efforts. He used his knowledge of alien tech to help repair cities, fix power grids, and teach others how to use what they had taken from the Empire. He once said, "We didn't win because we were stronger. We won because we never gave up. That's what makes us human." Years passed. Children were born into peace. They learned about the war in school, like stories from long ago. One child asked a teacher, "Did we really beat the Empire?" The teacher smiled. "Yes," she said, "we did." The child looked out the window at the stars. "What if they come back?" The teacher looked at the sky too. "Then we'll be ready." Across the galaxy, humans stood tall, not just soldiers, not just fighters, farmers, teachers, engineers, parents. All of them carried the pride of what they had done. They were no longer just survivors. They were victors. They were builders. They were humans. And they would never kneel again.